F1 is a sports drama directed by Joseph Kosinski, known for directing the incredible, critically acclaimed Top Gun Maverick. This movie stars Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, and Javier Bardem. The movie follows racing legend Sonny Hayes, who is brought out of retirement to lead a struggling Formula One team and mentor a young hotshot driver while chasing one more chance at glory. I was excited to check this movie out, mainly due to the fact of it being the follow-up feature film by the aforementioned Maverick director. Despite me having very basic knowledge for Formula One as a whole, but I didn't let this aspect spoil any enjoyment I could gain from watching this movie. So how exactly is the movie, and can people enjoy this whether they're die-hard enthusiasts of F1 or not? Well, let's find out. I'm going to start by talking about the performances in this, leading with Brad Pitt. He does a good job in the role of Sonny Hayes, which I did have to check after watching the film on whether or not he is a real F1 driver, and in fact he is not. So it truly shows how much I know about the source material of this thing. If you're familiar with Brad Pitt's work, a lot of the same things he brings to other roles are present here too. He plays up the cockiness bordering on being full of himself when he needs to, while also balancing some pretty great chemistry with all the other actors he shares the screen with. When he's paired with Idris's character, their rivalry feels natural as he comes off as not seeing the much younger, inexperienced driver in a believable way. When he's paired with Condon's character, I thought the two of them had pretty decent chemistry together, as these scenes lends Pitt to turn on the charm that he's mainly known for as well. Speaking of Kerry Condon, she was good here too. She's known for having such a great standout role in The Banshees of Inisherin, and for those with a lesser taste in movies, she's done some voice acting work in a couple of MCU movies. She does a good job here too, displaying a level of confidence in herself and the job's position she's given in the team. From watching the movie in my country, it was great to see some Irish representation presented in the movie. She's one of the few Irish actors I've enjoyed seeing in the past few years, and always get excited to hear her in new projects. Most of the role hinges on her being a part of this F1 team, which does lead to her dropping some exposition most of the time, but not so much as to where it ever gets grating, thankfully. As I mentioned before, I think her and Pitt's chemistry was good. Throughout the movie, they have this will they, won't they dynamic, which can always be fun, whether it's portrayed in a movie or TV show, as long as it's written well. And here, I thought she brought some nuance. Damson Idris plays the role of Joshua Pierce, who is the younger driver paired with Brad Pitt character. A newcomer to me, at least. His other roles have included the Black Mirror episode Smithereens, sharing the screen with Andrew Scott. Idris balances a lot in this role. On one hand, he has the cockiness Pitt's character holds, but throughout the runtime, this aspect may not be as genuine as he wants people to believe, as we are presented with another side to him, which shows himself to have these insecurities as he's getting more popular in the racing world. He does a good job at playing both parts of the character personality, making him easily sympathetic and at times for some people probably relatable too. The dynamic he and Pitt have are entertaining to watch, even if this is a common dynamic people have seen in similar stories before, but certain things the two do here is what makes it engaging and at times even humorous to watch. Javier Bardem is good here too. He is a retired driver like Pitt's character, and it was fun seeing the chemistry between the two of them. Seeing how they bounce off of each other in just small moments present the two to have a long history with each other, which is only seen in glimpses throughout the runtime. There's occasions where he pulls out some decent comedic moments here and there too. Along with that, I was particularly engaged in a scene where his character gets defensive about the car their team is planning to use in a race. Here he balances comedy and seriousness pretty well, which is something the guy is good at in many roles he's done in the past before. I quickly also want to mention Samson Ko, because if I didn't, my girlfriend would probably have me hunted down and executed otherwise. Ko is known for having a role in the TV series Our Flag Means Death, along with having an voice acting role in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. In this movie, he plays the manager of Idris's character, and here he is mainly providing some comedic relief, which he is good at. Granted, he isn't in the movie as much as I initially expected, but it was nice to see him here, as the moments they give him are pretty good. The line deliveries he provides are humorous and are elevated from the way he expresses them. While not a complete scene stealer, it was definitely a delight to see him on screen. Moving on to the plot of this thing, to sum it up, it is a pretty standard underdog story, which is admittedly been done to death in so many sports dramas. Once it got to about the 20 to 30 minute mark, I basically predicted how it would end. I won't spoil it, of course, but let me put it this way. When the story is about a team that has been somewhat kicked around in the past, and they gain assistance of someone, in this case the character of Sonny Hayes, who is more experienced, and we see the team go through trials and tribulations while climbing their way through an event, the ending of such a plot can only really go of two ways. It can go the basic route, or what I call, of course, refers to the original Rocky movie where everything Stallone's character's faces in the first movie. After all of that, he ends up losing, but it doesn't create a downer mood because of this. The basic route, You can probably guess yourself, but I won't say what the ending is to avoid spoilers. I do think the movie slogs a little bit in places. I feel like the same story and effect could have been achieved if the movie was simply 2 hours, because there is, in fairness, a lot happening here. However, through the performances and other technical aspects, it makes the movie entertaining enough. Since this thing is attempting to appeal to general audiences, spreading to as much mass appeal as possible, it does end up having a lot of predictable story beats. Another thing I've seen F1 fans complain about is the screenplay. There's a lot of needless over explaining in a lot of the ins and outs of what certain things in the sport are done, again in order to appeal to as many people as possible. This kept me informed of certain aspects. However, even I could tell there was a lot of over explaining going on in exposition, which let things down a little. A technical aspect I want to touch off of are the visual effects that are put into this movie. Well, yes, some of the driving in this movie is real, even done by real F1 drivers like Lewis Hamilton, who even has a producer credit on this. There are still some visual effects used, and they're all created pretty well. It's clear the team was given enough time to put care into what they were creating, because even if you can tell they're CG used, it doesn't hurt to look at. One aspect I was impressed with were moments where videos of a young Brad Pitt is shown, and the de-aging effects are done really well at times. It looked like they might have used footage from older movies Pitt has done, but it never lends itself to becoming uncanny, thankfully. One reason I'm touching on the visual effects is because when there are car crashes in the movie, they do look realistic, as they could make it, unlike the always funny car crash scene from Michael Mann's Ferrari, which is, well, I thought this movie was shot really well. The main pull of this movie, of course, is the racing scenes, which is at least 80% of the movie's runtime. I think Claudio Miranda, the director of photography on this movie and also Top Gun Maverick, did a great job at capturing the racing scenes, putting you quite literally in the driving seat along with the actors. There's a heavy use of whip pans, first focusing on the track, then quickly panning to the driver or the wheels of the cars or vice versa. Filmmakers must be really excited about using this because it's very prevalent in a lot of the driving scenes. Towards the end of the movie, in a race, there's a really great moment where Brad Pitt lifts his hand to simulate turning the wheel of his car. His hand covers the whole screen, and when the hand comes back down, it's Idris's character instead of Brad Pitt. Very simple editing trick, but it was really cool to see done here. The editing matched with a lot of the shots in this make for a fast-paced and sometimes frenetic watch, which does help the runtime from time to time. I think the editing really evokes the spirit these drivers could be feeling during their time on the track. The music in this is composed by Hans Zimmer. I feel like even people who aren't that big into cinema knows his name, but if you somehow don't, I'm currently flashing many of the movies he's created music for on screen right now. A lot of the tracks he's created for this movie were really great to listen to in a cinema screen. They are mainly these pulsating techno beats, which I feel suited a lot of the scenes they were featured in. There were also instances of his usual hopeful type of tracks whenever the movie calls for that sort of music. It was a pretty good score. Along with a score, there is a good few licensed songs in this, enough in fact to fill a whole soundtrack, which they are also surprisingly selling. I was pulled into a false sense of security when the movie began, as it first featured some classic rock tunes, but as the movie went on, it started to feature current pop songs, of which I think were even created for the movie. While this is in fairness something that was done in Top Gun Maverick, I feel like a lot of pop songs in this movie are more forgettable, to say the least. So that part was a bit of a letdown. Overall, I thought this movie was alright. There's a lot of discourse to be discussed about it, as F1 fans are complaining that there's a lot of things in the movie that aren't accurate. I obviously didn't pick up on these things, so if you're watching this video and you've seen the movie, I noticed these inaccuracies. Feel free to explain them in the comments, as it could be a good read. If you're wondering throughout this review why I didn't talk about these issues, now you know why. I believe the reason for this is because the filmmakers care more about making a fun summer blockbuster. It's in no way a documentary, of course, and it isn't a biopic. They're not going for accuracy. They are trying to make a good time at the movies, and as I watched it, I knew I was looking at a good popcorn flick. I was able to follow it enough without being in the loop about F1, and I think many people will get the same enjoyment. That seems to be their goal, as at least in my country the movie is rated as a PG, which admittedly did lead to an agonizing cinema experience where a decent majority of the audience were a bunch of preteens with completely zero cinema etiquette. But I did my best not to let that spoil my overall experience watching this. I'm giving F1 3.5 stars. This is a pretty well acted, well shot flick. that gets the job done as a summer blockbuster. It maybe doesn't reach the exceptional highs as Top Gun Maverick, but it's a great time at the cinema. It does have its flaws, which mainly boil down to a overdone story, but in a movie like this, that's to be expected. It's a big Hollywood movie meant to sell tickets, and so with a plot like that, of course they're looking to appeal to almost everyone. Despite this though, I still recommend seeing this on the big screen. I would even say check it out on an IMAX screen, as the sound design for this one can only really be elevated by viewing it on a screen like that. I wasn't fortunate enough to see it in IMAX, but I do think the viewing experience can be elevated watching it in this format. So with that in mind, whether it's in your local cinema or the closest IMAX screen near you, I can only say to check this one out on the big screen.